Welcome to Q&A Tuesday. Just to go over everything again, if you want to ask a question, go ahead and hit that react button and raise your hand, and then we'll get to your question as it comes in. So today's theme is over reporting-based, production-based questions, mixture, or if we don't have anything, we can just move it to an open session, just ask whatever questions you've got, whatever issues you're dealing with. So we can just go ahead and open up the floor and see what we've got. All right, guess I'll Will first.
Hey, how's it going, Tyler?
There you go,
Question
Will.
for good. Question for you. So, when a customer's using the app and they're in the annotation section where they're either adding a spot, an alteration, or a comment, outside of that showing up at mark-in, how can we get that to show on a KPI so we can do a trust and verify? Because right now we have a KPI that was built from you guys that is today's will call. So that will show all customer notes on pickup that we can go back at end of the day to verify. But customer notes, if it gets passed up at mark-in, there is 0 that we're aware of to address that. And that doesn't help us, because then managers can't trust and verify that actions are taking place and hold people accountable.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure if that'll show as a note, though. I believe that report's probably going to need to be changed a little bit. Does it show anything right now as for any annotations or any spotting, anything that they put in there?
No,
Yeah.
and we talked, and I know that Johnny reached out to you guys before, someone on our team, Kendall or Johnny or someone, and we were told that there is 0 that can be done about that. And that seems like that's a pretty big gap in us as a management team holding our staff accountable and being responsible for our customers.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think there's a way to get that, or there should be. I'm trying to think of some type of filter that we would need to, but I can definitely look into that.
Okay. And then I did have one more. Is there any way, so we use metal Progetti assembly conveyor. Is there any way so what ends up happening is all our bags, customer bags, get racked to that conveyor individually. But if we have a folded shirt order, or if we have a comforter order, we don't want that bag hung on the conveyor. I want it to go with the bag. So is there any way to pair those together or make it so we can get that bag into the comforter bag or into the folded shirt bag?
Yeah, so is it not touching the bagger at all?
No, so the comforters don't touch the bagger at all. Folded shirts don't touch the bagger at all. But those bags we put on an individual hanger and put them through. And we do them as individual pieces because those bags are dirty and we don't want them to pair with like in the middle of 2 shirts.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it should be just a ticket splitting rule. And then we would need to look at what special cares you have specifically. Yeah, we can get that.
So you guys will get back to me on both those issues.
Yeah, I'll message you in the email thread that we already have in the ticket that we have.
All right, thank you.
Yep. All right, let's go on to Marlene.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Hello. Question about reporting. I was digging into some of our reports, and when I looked at April, we take off buttons and then resew them on. We call them an R&R button. And for the month of April, we had 567 buttons. How do I see if that is skewing or piece counts? Because it's not really a piece. And I couldn't figure out how to look at the setup And then was thinking that R&R button should actually be part of a tailoring department and not on my item activity production sheet.
Hey, hey Marlene, it's Chris.
Hi, Chris.
So are you guys using an item type or a special care for the button replacement?
Both,
Got
because
it.
we use an item type because we have to say what it is, and on the item we put a special care flag R&R. It could be a button, could be a
Right.
logo, could be a white chain with a a logo belt, leather tab on the back of it. So we take all those off. So I never really thought about where they actually ended up in our reporting.
Yeah, so they're special cares, so they don't count as pieces. You won't see them as like a piece count in any of the reports. But like you were mentioning, probably the better way to do it is use annotations so you can make them items into the actual like alteration price list. That way it's a little bit more, it's a little easier. But they actually don't show in any reporting, but you can create a KPI for that specific special care and you can track it that way as well.
Well, well, it does show up in my reporting. It is on my report as an item, like pants, blouse, blah, 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 and our well, something like that for the
Wait, is it breaking up?
offline to
I'm
help
sorry,
with
Marlene, you're
this.
breaking up pretty bad here. We can't hear you.
So drop that in here.
No,
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
kinda.
Are you back?
There you go. I think we can hear you
Hello?
better. Yep, we can hear you better now. Can you hear us okay?
Sorry. Yeah,
Okay.
driving and I went through a dead zone. Yeah.
No worries.
So maybe the best thing to do is just, email who?
You can send
A
it.
smart support ticket.
Yep, and you can
Yeah.
tag me into it, just Chris with no H, so that way it gets to the right person.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, and then I see, Will, you asked in the chat, does Smart plan on making function to send photos or videos through Smart? I think right now what we're looking at doing is the ability to download photos at least, and then find the ability to send it from there. I'm not sure about the whole videos portion though. That hasn't really been talked about, mainly just photos, an easier way to send that off to the customers. Okay, looks like we've got Zach.
Hey y'all, how you doing?
Good, how are you doing?
Doing well, thank you. Just following up on my questions from last week. I was curious, were you able to find out what sequence the wardrobe is in? How that gets displayed?
Okay, I think Mike's got that.
Hey, Zach, can you hear me there?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a underwhelming answer. So every barcoded item in your database has an internal ID in addition to the barcode. And the order that you see items listed in the wardrobe is actually sorted by that internal ID. So it's not something that you can see through the UI. And it's kind of, from your perspective, it's essentially arbitrary because of the way those IDs are generated.
So it's essentially like random, like how it gets
It might
displayed
as well be. Yeah. There's not really any logic to it that you can make any sense of without like seeing the actual original IDs in the database. And even then it wouldn't have any value to you, I don't think.
As far as like evaluating pieces, I think it would be helpful if we could sort it by, I mean, like, or if they could apply like the newest wardrobe first would be displayed and just
Okay. Yeah.
like Just for some kind of organization. I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And I'd be happy to write up a request for that. Just in case it's helpful, we can make wardrobe KPIs, and I believe we can sort them by created date, which would have the same effect. It would just be per customer.
That's fair. It was more so like combining the pictures, like with the
Mm,
like
yeah.
the timing and like searching for something like that was relevant. Like it's like usually a customer will call up and be like, I'm missing this garment or something, and maybe it got detailed wrong or
Yeah.
I
But
don't know. It's like just some kind of organization, like from a timing perspective on that screen, I think would be helpful.
yeah, sure. Yeah, like I said, I'll definitely put in a request for something like that. In case it's helpful, there are probably other ways you could find that missing piece. I don't know if you've ever clicked on the little magnifying glass that is in the search bar at the top of the Smart UI. But that actually gives you access to two different specialized types of searches. One lets you search orders by certain attributes, and the other lets you search items by certain attributes. So that may help if you're not familiar with that.
Well, I've used it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Again, it was more so it's like if it got detailed incorrectly,
Mhm,
and just trying to like the easiest way to find a picture of a garment is going to be in the wardrobe.
sure.
So like without having to click on everything, but um it's all right.
Okay.
The other question I had was we don't use the pressing productivity reports. Like we don't have stations set up on our pressing stations. Like we just don't have the space for it.
Mhm.
You guys have an example of like what it looks like um of the pressing productivity reports? I'm just curious and like the information we would get from that.
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure at the moment who might have one, but yeah, during the next question or so, let me see if I can poke around in a couple of systems and maybe I can at least just get a screenshot. It would be anonymized, basically, just to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. That's what you mean, right? You just literally want to see what kind of data it puts out.
Exactly. It's like,
Yeah.
it'd be a big project for us to do, but I was just like, if I want to push for my pressers to start using the scanning feature, like I wanted to know what kind of data we would be getting. And yeah, I was just kind of curious
Okay.
about it.
Yeah. I'll see if I can find something to share with you.
Cool. Thank you. That's it
All
for me.
right. Yep. You're welcome.
Yeah, so if anybody has any questions at all, we'll just open it up. It doesn't have to be theme-based, which if you weren't here in the beginning, we're trying to stick towards production type reporting or anything that has to do with production. And if not, just open questions. Like we got Marlene.
Hi, my question is about a route. So we have specific days that we are in specific areas. And when we take a call in the office, any of the people that answer the phone, how do we force them to schedule the pickup on the day that we're in that area? Now, even though on the route, if it's a Tuesday, Friday route and a Tuesday, Friday client, like we're in that area, that's checked. The CSR is able to just say, okay, we'll be there Wednesday, but we're not in that area on Wednesday. So is there any way to force them to choose between the days that are kind of set up, but not able to default to that day?
And just so that way I'm understanding correctly, you're talking about whenever, say, a customer calls in and says, "Hey, I want to pick up," and then CSR has to manually put it in.
Well, it's okay. They can manually put it in. That's not the issue. But when you look at a map, we handle New York, right? We're in Manhattan. So we are all the way downtown in Battery Park on Mondays and Thursdays. Now, can we go an emergency on an off day? Yes. But we like to tighten the route up so that when we're going down to that area, we have all those stops. So somebody calls on Tuesday and the CSR says, okay, we can make that pickup tomorrow. There's no, like, they don't see, even though, let's say my name is Marlene and I live in Battery Park and it's checked Monday, Thursday on the route. You have route and pickup. they still can, there's no way for them to know, like, we're in this area on Mondays and Thursdays. Like a default to the time and the days that we're in that area. We're in Long Island, we're in areas like on Tuesdays and Fridays and Mondays and Thursdays. So, you know, it helps for route integrity. Did I stump you?
Hey, Marlene, it's Chris again.
Hi,
So,
Chris.
so under the route slash pickup slash delivery tab, you're talking about when they get there and they see the calendar and they can select whatever day they want and then schedule the stop, right?
Yes, but I want that CSR to know that this person lives downtown and we typically are downtown on Mondays and Thursdays. So it kind of should be a default preference.
Got it.
But if the client says, oh, well, no, I really need this picked up tomorrow. Okay, well, they can do that. But, you know, we could also say, hi, we're in your area on Thursday. Is that okay for you? And they'll say, sure. And then it's with the doorman.
So there's nothing that's going to stop them on that screen specifically. But if they're adding someone to the route, and if they actually do the adding to the route first, then creating a stop, it should prevent that. So like when you add someone to the route, you'll see those days pop up of what's available. And then if they need to create a one-time stop using that screen, then they can do it afterwards. But if you're adding someone to the route, the first thing you should probably do is actually go and add them to the route and then the one-time stop, because then you'll see it. But if you're adding a one-time stop, the purpose of that screen is so that way you could put them on any route, which is why there is no restrictions. Um, so I think what's happening is they're probably creating the one-time stop and then adding it to the route, or adding the customer to the route versus adding the customer to the route and then creating the stop. That's what it sounds like.
Mhm. No, when you and I have a call, I'll show you. We can screen share and I'll
Okay.
show you what I'm talking about.
Okay. Well,
Um,
yeah, let's do
okay,
that and
you
then
got it.
we'll just figure it out.
Okay, no problem.
Can you
Awesome.
hear me, Chris?
Yep.
So there used to be a way, like if a customer call and they want to be on the route, where the computer will like optimize and tell you is that address for Tuesday, Friday, or Monday, Thursday. But now it's like harder to do that. I think like I don't know. I feel like the CSR, it's harder for them to figure out, is this address gonna go for Monday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Friday? Because it doesn't optimize it, when you add them to the route.
I think I get what you're saying. Yeah, I think, yeah, if we can, we'll just do a screen share and go over it. But I think I understand what I think I understand what you guys were doing originally, and I think I know why it's not working. But yeah, let's do a screen share and figure out if that's exactly what I think it is, and then we can go over the steps to make sure it doesn't happen.
Okay, thanks.
Absolutely.
All right. Looks like we've got Jay.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so in reference to Marlene's question, I was on the phone earlier today with Aaron with basically the same type of issue. And mine was more or less with the customer portal, them being able to go on with geofencing already activated. With the portal, once they put in their address, wherever they fall in that geofencing, whatever route it is, that's the only option they have. And what I was encouraged to do was with my customers that come in and request a pickup or call and request a pickup, we say now going forward, where you can request that pickup through the app. And when they do it through the app, supposedly the portal is working with that geofencing, and it's only going to give them that day that you are in that area. So, I mean, that's what I got today, and that's seems to be working for me today. I would share that.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That's exactly how it works. All right. Let's see, looks like we've got Eldon. And then Margie, I'll answer your question right after that.
Hey guys, I got interesting question. It's similar but the opposite. Um, so I'm messing around with the delivery date, and it's settings in settings, price list, due date. Which of the fields, whether it is due days, due hour, due cutoff, production days, is the one that sort of tells you after certain time on a pickup, here's the next delivery date?
Hey, Elton.
Yep.
You're talking about, you want to know which setting to use if you need to add an extra day to the due date because the
So
order was
essentially,
created after a certain time of day, right?
no, so essentially my customers are able to request a next day delivery if
Okay.
the pickup is after. They can only request a next day delivery until 6 p.m., right? Until 6 p.m. As long as they schedule pickup before 6 p.m., they can get it back the next day.
Oh, okay.
Now I'm messing around with a different route, and I'm allowing them to either to do a afternoon and a nighttime one, and for some reason it's doing a 24-hour return, which we
Yeah.
will not be able to do
Okay.
because
So
it's
that's
based in it of like a 1 p.m.
gotcha. Okay. So I think the setting you're looking for to impose that restriction is actually in the route settings. So when you go to settings, delivery, and then routes, where you see
Mm-hmm.
the list of all your routes and you can change the days and all that. What you want to look for are the pickup and delivery grace times. And those let you enter basically the time of day after which you can't get I think it's same day pickup for the pickup one.
Yeah, no, it's in due dates because the problem is the delivery window is too soon. But I guess I can try you guys offline so you guys can
Okay.
potentially log in. But it's
Yeah,
a
let's take
too
a look at
soon due date.
it.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And Eldon, for that, the reason why, I mean, obviously you're referencing the ticket that we were talking about earlier today. Was that agent that you were talking about missing, the route that you were talking about
Yeah,
wasn't able to do the
it
same
was
day?
missing. Yep, it was missing. So then I added it, but then when I added, I realized that because that's a whole new agent and a new different time description, it was doing something impossible. So I created a new category for those agents, but then it's still allowing a
Uh,
delivery time at a time that is not possible. So I have to push something else on that setting so that it gives me a more time to clean the clothes.
yeah,
Yeah,
we're gonna have to go through your due dates to
no
make
problem.
sure that
Thank you.
they're correct. All right.
Sounds good.
Okay, and Margie, you asked, we're currently using manual paper tags on each item, but are thinking about going to barcodes. Is it possible to continue doing assembly manually, or does that have to be done with an automatic assembler? So I guess there's two ways to go about it. I definitely wouldn't recommend making it be manual assembly, but if you are going to use like a static conveyor, that's totally fine to do a static conveyor with barcoding. The only thing that an automatic assembly is going to help with is just efficiency, but um,
Gotcha. Hey, it was Margie, I think, right? Um, so there's sort of really kind of four different ways you could do assembly in Smart, depending on how you look at it. One is the manual, which you're obviously familiar with, where you just, check the tags, bring the clothes together, bag them up, good to go. The next level up, which adds a little bit of automation, but doesn't fully automate it, is what we call assisted assembly. And that's kind of what you get access to when you start heat sealing. Assisted assembly is a system where essentially when you're using Smart and you're in the assembly module, you scan a barcode. Smart gives you a hook or a slot number, and it says hang that item on that slot and then scan the next item. So you scan the next item. If that next item goes in the same bag with the first item, it'll tell you to hang it on the same hook. If it goes in a different bag, or if it's somebody else's order, it'll tell you to put it on a different hook. So all you have to do is just scan items and hang them where it tells you. And then when it finishes a bag, when you have your 3 or 4 or 5 items, whatever your limit is for each bag, it'll tell you that you finished the bag. It'll print out the racking ticket, and then you can take it over either to get it actually bagged or to rack it, depending on how your setup works. And that's what you get access to by using heat seals. That lets you do what we call, like I said, assisted assembly. And then beyond that, you can have something that's a bit more automated, where your conveyor actually moves and it brings the slot to you, so you don't have to walk around and take the garments to the other slot. And then I'd say the fourth category is like fully automated metal progetti. It does literally everything. You just have to scan it to the conveyor and it figures out the rest. But with heat seals, yeah, you can definitely get an efficiency improvement. It'll reduce sort of the amount of thinking that your assembler has to do. They don't have to figure out as much, because Smart does most of that for you. And Margie, I don't know if you were actually asking. I'm sorry if you didn't. Are you available on video or audio here? I just wanted to know if you heard my answer and make sure you don't have any other questions.
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Oh, hey, there you
How
go.
are you doing today? Yeah,
I'm good. How are you?
good. I've got a little bit of a voice problem today. That's why I was just
Oh, no
texting.
problem. I didn't mean to put you on the spot there.
No, yeah, that we have the slot system that we're going to set up right now. We just have tags hanging everywhere, but we have this. We're thinking using the slot system. So I
Yeah.
was thinking that's the way we would probably end up having to go. But I wanted to make sure that we could do that before I spend a lot of money on a bunch of stuff that I can't use it. So yeah, and we were thinking about doing like a 4 to 5 pieces per bag type situation, and then just using every other slot to allow us to be able to hang the clothes up.
Yeah.
We're small, so we don't have some of the people I listen to. I'm like, wow, I'm just amazed at the scope of their businesses compared to mine. It's just a small town, I mean, I've got about 400 and some customers, but still, that's not nearly as many as some of the other ones. But yeah, I'll get in touch with somebody then to go forward with that, because we're really thinking it's going to help us with our production and speed up some things, and just helping identifying things a little bit easier too. So thank you for answering that for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it will help you with your efficiency. It will also, it should help reduce the number of lost items and therefore claims you end up paying and things like that. It'll definitely help out. And yeah, there's a good chance if you do end up going through with that, it'll either be myself or a guy I work closely with, the other Chris, the one who does have an H in his name. We do the heat seal conversions, most of them. So I'll be involved either way. So yeah, if you have any questions along the way, feel free to reach out, but I'm sure we'll be in touch.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
And if you're new here and you're unfamiliar with how this works, you can go ahead and hit that react button down at the bottom, and then you can raise your hand, and then we'll answer your question as it comes in. Looks like we've got Mark.
Hello.
Hey, Mark.
Hi, Tyler. Hi, everybody. So I just ran into an issue last night, and I don't know if it's a me problem or if it's something that's more widespread, but we were experiencing a situation where something would get assembled and get racked, and for each time it was scanned to a barcode, it would create a new stop for another day, another day, and another day. And then even when we went to go cancel them, just even pressing cancel on a stop would create another day, and it was like it's stuck in a loop. So I had to like do some, I don't know, funny keyboard stuff where I would toggle something and then it would cancel without creating one. But I had to go through every single stop because we had 100 orders, creating 100 to 200 different stops.
And were you scanning using the new delivery app?
No.
Oh.
I can't guarantee that. I can't
Yeah,
do that,
you got me.
Okay. It's the part that was, it's possible because we have a couple drivers using the delivery app for scanning, for racking, myself included, but The other part that had nothing to do with the new app was just even pressing cancel on a stop. So I can press cancel for May 6th, and then it would create May 7th. I can't press cancel May 7th, and it would create May 8th.
Actually, I think I've ran into this with somebody else where they actually did cancel it, and I didn't think about it, but yeah, it did immediately create at the exact same time frame. So we may have a problem with it, but also okay, yeah, we'll look into it.
Copy.
But
Just
thanks for
bringing it to your attention. Yeah, it wasn't anything
Yeah.
specific. Like it was will call customers. The route regulars seem to be fine, but
Yep.
it was various routes, and some of the customers on the same route with 8 orders totally fine. Some of them with 2 orders totally fine, but then also some of them with multiple orders not fine, and some with just 1 order not fine. So there wasn't anything that I can pinpoint just by looking at it and identify this is why it's happening. It seemed to be just random.
And you guys are geofencing, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's
And
same
and
thing
we've
with this
never
other one.
experienced this before ever in the past, I don't know, 6 years. It's never happened.
Yeah, I mean, it does go back to us, constantly changing and trying to make things better. And in the meantime, it can possibly affect other things that we didn't think it was going to affect. But could be one of those. I definitely thought it was a delivery app thing because that was one of the initial issues when we were testing it before we launched it. So,
Oh, really?
uh,
Okay.
all right, we'll look into that. Thanks for
Thank you.
bringing that up.
Hey, Zach, are you still with us?
Hey, I'm here.
Yes. Oh, okay, there you go. Okay, so I do have, just real quick, I wanted to show you, I found a PPOH report that has full data on it. So I wanted to just give you a quick idea what that looks like. That should do it. All right, so this is, I just anonymized the employee names, but this is what a PPOH report will look like. I hope everybody can see this. Zach, can you see it at least?
Yeah.
Okay, and is it clear enough that you can make out what we're looking at? Big enough?
Pieces, value, hours, PPOH.
Yeah. Yeah, so this does require that you have a certain setup with your time clock actually, because if I remember correctly, the pressers have to clock in under a certain job type, and then they'll start tracking this activity, and then whatever they do at pressing will get tracked. And the job type is how they get the hours. It'll track the pieces and values for any scans they do at pressing, but the hours will just be zeros unless they're also using that job type thing. So that's how you get the final calculation. You can see their rough productivity without using that extra step, but to get the full value of the report, you need that extra little component, and we can help you set it up when you're ready.
It's interesting. So the value, I guess, is determined by the individual operators or cleaners like price that they charge for.
Yeah, and well, no, it's based on the production value field that's in the price list for each item. And I think it defaults to 1 for everything. And so everything is just counted by 1 or as a 1, naturally. But if there are certain items that where you want to increase or decrease the value because proportionally it takes more or less work to press them, then you can make those adjustments in the price list and they'll be reflected in the calculation here.
Okay. Yeah, I think I remember that actually. Like production value. Okay. So it's just determined by us. We can set it to whatever we want. Do most people just use like the Honeywell, like a cordless scanners, like at their stations?
I believe so. I have had a couple of clients ask about like tabletop mounted scanners, kind of like the kind you see at like a grocery store. We can pass an item or a barcode just over essentially your countertop, but it's glass with a scanner set in it. I don't know if anyone ever implemented those, but that's really the only other option I've heard of people considering for pressing specifically. The only other kind of scanner I can think of is like they have little finger mounted scanners where you kind of wear like a ring that has a scanner mounted on it. So your fingers, you can still use your fingers to manipulate things. And then you probably squeeze something on one finger to trigger the scan whenever you point it at a barcode. I've seen people try to use those for like mobile detailing out in the field.
I forget the last clean show I was at. It wasn't the clean show. It was something else though. But I saw someone wearing like a handheld scanner. Like it was like
Yeah,
a glove,
that's kind of what I'm talking about. Yeah.
and like you'd move your thumb, and it looked awesome, and
Yeah.
it
It looks like
captured
a
like
piece of cybernetic wear or something. Yeah.
yeah, it was like the Terminator kind of thing. And
Right.
I uh I never reached out to Smart about that, being like, hey, can you guys incorporate this scanning technology? Because that would be amazing. Because
Yeah. And
I've talked to my pressers about this before, and like the amount of time it would take them to scan is like one of the concerns that's been brought up for why they don't want to do it. Um, among other reasons like space and
yeah,
yeah.
you're
But
trying to track productivity, and in order to track it, you have to actually add more time to the task
yeah,
by way of scanning, right? Yeah. So
kind of
I
counterintuitive.
definitely get that conundrum there. Yeah, but the so I do know, because I did a little research for this one client who was asking about it. Those finger mounted scanners, Honeywell makes some. I'm not sure if Symbol does, but I would certainly recommend start with Honeywell because they're most likely to already be compatible with Smart. And if you did really want to like take the plunge and we're potentially going to move in that direction, we might even be able to get our hands on one and test it to make sure it'll work. I can't guarantee that, but if you communicate with us, as you make your plan for this, we'll help where we can and make sure that the components you want to bring into play will all work with Smart.
Okay, I appreciate that, and thank you for finding the screen. It's
Yeah,
interesting
yeah,
to see.
absolutely. Yeah, glad I was able to share. All right, I am going to take it down now because it's the only thing I'm allowed to look at while it's up. So, all right. Did you have any other questions about that report, Zach?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, awesome. And now we're going to go over to Jay.
All right, my question is to do with the marketing module, the marketing replies, review replies. So when I filter that out, I go back to 2014, I believe, with my reviews. I got over 1,200 reviews. But I noticed when I filter the waiting responses, I got over 1,000 that is waiting responses. So my question is, should I just let that be by the side, or do I make an attempt to respond to those that are waiting on responses?
Hi, Jay. This is Denise. I'm in the marketing department.
Right.
I can't be 100% sure about this, but it's possible that Smart is not going to be able to track any replies you've already done on Google before we had the in-app marketing.
I'm looking at them.
You're looking at the replies on Google?
Well, I'm looking at the review for the replies, and you can filter waiting on
Yeah.
response. I
Yeah.
toggle that switch.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's legit. I mean, it's actually that many that I'm missing replies on. And it's giving
Okay.
me the option to reply.
Okay.
Now,
Well,
I'm saying, do I do that, or did I
oh,
like, let
yeah.
that be and just move on?
I would do the ones that are most recent. Just do the ones from the past, let's say, couple months, and then I think you can forget the rest. It's the more you reply, the more Google likes, because it's activity that is very positive and it reflects well on your business.
Okay.
But in terms of like from a marketing perspective, do you want to if you have time and you want to do a few at a time, sure, but I would definitely do the ones that are most recent,
Right.
from this year. Take care of those. And the rest, it'd be nice if you did. We have you could cut and paste, you can, it's too late to do auto replies for those because the auto replies have to be on when the review comes in and then it auto replies back.
Right.
But there is AI enabled. You can just click and just do quick, really quick, AI enabled.
So I guess what I'm getting at, and you answered my question as far as what it would do for, Google, it would improve my overall performance, I guess, with Google answering.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
that's what I was getting at. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, it's many reasons to do it. Number one, it's nice for your customers. Number two, it just looks good when people look on Google for you and they see the replies, but also Google itself likes that it uses that data to give your business a better reputation.
Right.
So it does all of those things.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, that was
Yeah.
it. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. And actually, if anyone else has an opinion on this, I think a lot of you do marketing, a lot of you have reviews, go ahead and say something in the chat if you want to help Jay figure out, the answer to his question. If you have any more to add, go for it.
But we've got a couple more minutes here. So, all right, Mark.
Hello again.
Hey.
I started using the API on the reports, and I don't know if there's anything you guys can speak to just in terms of how maybe other clients of Smart use it. If there's like any like standout use cases for it. It would be great to know just because I'm only using it for one report right now.
Sorry, I was asking. Yeah, not many use cases that, I mean, we know off the top of our heads, because most of the time we kind of just send out the link of, hey, this is how you use our API. If you run into any issues or have errors that pop up, go ahead and let us know, and then we can try and help you through it. But most of the time people use it for signups, sign up links, and various reporting.
Hey, Mark. This is Mike. I think that was you asked about the API there. I just want to clarify something about sort of how people use it. We've spent many years designing Smart, like the core software, to cover what we have found to be all the standard use cases for dry cleaners and related businesses. So ideally, it should be pretty rare that anyone feels the need to go to the API unless they want to sort of completely replace some part of Smart's functionality with their own version of it. And that obviously you'll have to pay some developers to build some code out and all that kind of stuff as well. So there aren't a lot of standard use cases because almost every time someone needs to use the API, it's for an edge case scenario. There's something unusual about their business that's not true about most other businesses. And they're trying to find a way to make that thing work with Smart. And sometimes that means getting some piece of software to talk to Smart that's external to Smart and transfer some information. And that's where the API comes in. So it's not, I couldn't rattle off a list of 5 things that people use the API for because it'd be 5 things that were only used one time. You know what I mean? Other than just a custom sign up form. That's probably, if there is a common use, that's the one I'd say.
Copy. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate
Yeah, you're
it.
welcome.
What
Absolutely.
you described is exactly how I'm using it. It's just to get notification of new customer signups. So
Yeah.
that's been awesome.
And you did an integration with another messaging app, I think, right?
Well, I did something with the Twilio and Slack.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, Slack.
Yeah,
that's
and
pretty
that's
cool
actually
idea.
the same thing I'm doing with the reports now. Because like you said, we use the reports a dashboard on Smart, but for the new customers, basically the report is just automated, and that way it just pushes to Slack, so we get a push of new customers signed up.
Yeah, that's great.
So
Good deal.
I was seeing if there's more common ones like that I could leverage, but
Well, I think yours is another example of something that probably hasn't been done before with Smart. I don't know of anybody integrating with an external messaging app in order to generate push notifications like that. That's a neat application. I really like the idea. And yeah, I think you're the only one who's done that. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, Margie's got another question. Hey, Margie.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, just wondering if there were any like tutorials anywhere on different things that I try to read all of the things on the smart app for how to do things, different things.
Mhm.
But sometimes I'm more of a visual person, and I was just wondering if there were any type of tutorials where you're actually walking through the different situations or the more common situations with smart.
Well, so that's kinda to some degree. It's an ongoing work in progress to build out our documentation and tutorial resources and things like that. We do have the Learning Center, which has a lot of articles in it, many of which have screenshots. A few of which you may find are outdated, meaning that Smart used to have a different visual appearance, a UI, where we didn't have the blue bar up at the top. It was kind of a different color scheme. Some of the icons were different. So you may see occasionally a screenshot with the old style, but the instructions are generally still good. We've tried to go through and make sure those all still apply. There are also a few like step-by-step guides that are you access them in the same place that you go to the Learning Center using that question mark in the bottom left when you're in Smart, but they're not technically inside the Learning Center. They're just one of the different entries on that same menu. So some of those might be helpful. A lot of it's pretty basic, like how to open the cash drawer and how to assign a customer to a route, things like that. But they might at least be helpful for new employees, onboarding, that kind of thing. And if there are any particular tutorials that you'd be interested in, you can feel free to put in such requests with support. If like I say, we're always trying to improve our documentation. So if people make specific requests, we'll prioritize whatever they ask us to do, and we'll try to crank that out next. So if there's a video about something that you think would be really helpful to have, and especially if it would benefit other clients too, then the next time we make a video, we'll probably make that one, as long as you let us know.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you, sir.
All right. You're welcome.
All right, so we'll take this last one and then we'll post the poll.
To what Margie was saying, do you have like a tutorial for a new CSR, like you're trying to onboard, like for training a new CSR with Smart?
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So similar with what Mike was saying, I would definitely recommend.
Oh, I can't hear Tyler. I can hear you, Mike, if you want to answer.
Okay.
Sorry, Tyler.
Okay. Can you hear me, Jemima? Hello? Oh, you're muted now. Okay.
I can hear you, Mike.
Okay, there we go. All right. So I don't think we have a robust package of materials that you could basically take a new counter employee, a new clerk, and sit them down in front of a computer and say, here, watch these videos for the next hour, and you'll be trained. We have probably a few things here and there, and we could pull some other resources together. If you have a somewhat more specific idea of what you're looking for, like maybe if you wanted to put in a ticket, maybe tell us like whether you're heat sealing, just some basics about your detailing flow. We'll dig up what we have that's relevant, and if there's anything missing, we'll put it on the list and try to prioritize writing it up.
I have another question while I'm on mute. So how my question is, if let's say I was selling my business, how easy would it be to transition, to transfer everything to the new owner and train them?
Okay. Oh, Chris, go ahead.
All right, can you hear me okay?
I hear you, Chris.
Perfect. So yeah, so it's fairly easy. There's obviously some documents that need to be filled out. The new owner would be under like a different contract if you are under contract. But all the steps, it's not like we have to like redo any data work or anything like that. So it's fairly simple. And to answer in your other question, about training a new CSR or anyone that's new, in Smart in the POS in the bottom left-hand side of the screen, you see this little question mark. There's a new to Smart section in that question mark that will take a CSR through all the basics about opening a cash box, adding a new customer, um, yep, and it'll do an on-screen training guide. So basically, it'll tell them to click here, click there. This is how you do this. That new to smart in the Learning Center is all in that question mark, and most of them are on-screen guides, just so you know.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. I've looked at it. It's overwhelming for me, and I already know everything about smart. Like, but I can't imagine like somebody new trying to learn that way.
Yeah,
It's a lot. So I was thinking maybe something simpler,
yeah,
easier.
what I usually tell people about that, because it is a lot, I just have them start from the top to the bottom. And it's just like any like module or like guide. It's kind of just you do it and then it's like, okay, and you can do it live, right? Like if a customer was to walk through the front door and they say, "Oh, I've never been here before," and you forget how to add them as a customer, they can do it live, right? If they hit add customer, the learning center, it'll say click here, then they put in the new customer's info. It like takes them through the same steps, right? So they can still do it live even if they don't remember exactly how to do it.
Back to selling the business. So I just wanted to be clear, like, would they have access to all your old data, like your sales and everything else, all the
Correct.
customers?
So the data does not leave the instance at all. So everything that whatever the previous company or owner had in the instance or in the site will remain. The only thing that gets changed really is like the bank account information that the deposits are going to, the name that's on the contract, that kind of stuff.
All right. We're gonna go ahead and wrap up from here and post a poll, and yeah, we will see everybody next week.